Listen to me right now. Some of you in this room are living with dreams so big they keep you awake at night. But here is the truth. Dreams without deadlines are nothing but fantasies. In addition, if you do not put a date on your dream, it will die with you. You have been saying on day for years. One day I'll start the business. One day I will get in shape. One day I'll write that book. Let me break it to you. There is no magical on day. If you do not draw a line in the sand, and if you don't set a deadline, you'll wake up 5 years from now still talking, still wishing, still frustrated. Deadlines force discipline. Deadlines demand focus. And deadlines pull the greatness out of you because now you have something chasing you. Time. You cannot buy it back. You cannot borrow it. And you cannot cheat it. Time is the most ruthless teacher you will ever meet. And it is either going to expose your excuses or reward your commitment. So ask yourself this: what is the date? Not the dream, not the vision, not the wish. What is the date? Because until you mark it down, you are just drifting. In addition, dreamers who drift never dominate. Up call, stop wishing, stop waiting. Put a date on it and let the countdown begin. I need you to hear me. A dream without a deadline is not only weak, it is dangerous. Why? Because it tricks you into believing you are making progress when you are not. It gives you a false sense of achievement. You're telling everybody what you're going to do. You're writing it in journals. You're posting quotes on Instagram, but nothing is happening. Why? Because there is no deadline holding you accountable. Deadlines create urgency. Urgency creates action. Action creates momentum. In addition, momentum. That is what separates the ones who talk from the ones who walk. The ones who wait from the ones who win. Some of you keep saying, I'm just waiting for the right time. Listen to me carefully. There will never be a right time. Life does not send invitations. Opportunities do not knock politely on your door. They show up unannounced and disappear if you are not ready. When you set a deadline, you flip a switch in your brain. You tell yourself this is real. This is non-negotiable. Moreover, suddenly the excuses do not sound as sweet anymore. Suddenly, the distractions do not look as attractive. Suddenly, you stop wasting time and start making moves. A dream without a deadline is like a car without gas. It looks good sitting in the driveway, but it ain't taking you anywhere. So again, I ask you, what is the date? Listen closely. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is your friend. Pressure is the very thing that will take you from ordinary to extraordinary. Moreover, the only way to create that pressure is by setting a deadline. When you say, by this date, I'm done. By this date, I will finish. By this date, I will deliver. You trap yourself in a corner where quitting is not an option. Moreover, it is in that corner, when your back is against the wall, that your real strength shows up. Think about it. Diamonds do not shine because they were left comfortable. They shine because they were crushed under pressure, tested by fire, and refused to break. Is what deadlines do. They crush your laziness. They burn away your excuses. They force you to evolve. Without a deadline, you wander, you drift, you get comfortable. Moreover, nothing extraordinary is ever birthed from comfort zones. However, when the clock is ticking, every second screams that you move, push, fight, finish. Some of you have been waiting on motivation to show up. Motivation is weak. Motivation comes and goes. Nevertheless, pressure. Pressure does not care how you feel. It forces you to perform. Stop running from deadlines. Stop hiding from pressure. Embrace it. Because when the clock is counting down, you do not have time for fear. You only have time for greatness. I am going to say something real, and it might sting, but it's the truth. Deadlines separate the pretenders from the contenders. Everybody can dream. Anybody can talk. Anybody can say, one day I'm gonna. However, the ones who circle the date on the calendar, the ones who commit to the countdown, those are the real contenders. See, pretenders are comfortable with vague goals. Some a day, maybe, hopefully. That language is weak. It gives you permission to procrastinate forever. However, contenders, they write it down. They set the deadline. They put their reputation, their pride, their name on the line. In addition, when you do that, when you have skin in the game, quitting is not an option. Deadlines expose the difference between hype and heart. Pretenders exaggerate themselves up on social media. Contenders grind in silence until the deadline forces them to show receipts. Pretenders want applause. Contenders want results. Pretenders love comfort. Contenders love challenge. You can tell me your dream all day long. You can exaggerate it up, sweet. However, until I see the deadline, until I see the plan, until I see you chasing the date, it is just words. The question is not what is your dream. The question is, you contender enough to set a deadline and fight for it. Because in this life, deadlines do not lie. Listen, dreams demand sacrifice. In addition, if you do not put a deadline on your dream, you will never be forced to pay the price. Deadlines create urgency. Urgency forces you to make choices, and choices that most people are too comfortable to make. When you commit to a deadline, you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to give up winning? Sleep. Compromise out. Scrolling social media. Stop kidding yourself. Every minute wasted is a minute closer to failure. If you really want your dream, you must be willing to pay the price before it is convenient. Most people run from deadlines because deadlines are uncomfortable. They remind you that you have work to do, that the clock is ticking, and that your excuses are running out. However, here is the thing: comfort never built empires. Sacrifice does, discipline does, deadlines do. You see, a deadline is not just a date, it is a test. It tests your focus, your resilience, your hunger. Will you rise under pressure, or will you crumble? Will you hustle when nobody is watching, or will you find excuses? You do not get to negotiate with time. You do not get to bargain with reality. Deadlines are absolute, and they will expose your true level of commitment. Therefore, I ask you, are you ready to pay the price for your dream? Or are you content being comfortable and broke? The deadlines do not lie. They expose your excuses. They expose your laziness. They expose your fear. When you put a date on your dream, suddenly there is no room to blame the economy, your boss, your family, or bad luck. The clock does not care about your excuses. It keeps ticking. And deadlines demand accountability. They force you to face the truth. Am I showing up for my dream, or am I running from it? Because every second you waste without action is a second someone else is out there making moves, chasing their dream, and getting closer to victory. Most people avoid deadline because accountability is scary. They do not want someone, even themselves, to call them out. However, let me tell you, this accountability is freedom. When you answer to your deadline, you stop living in illusions and start living in results. If you really want to change your life, you have to stop hiding. Stop making excuses. Stop pretending that someday is enough. The only way your dream becomes real is when you set a date, commit to it, and hold yourself accountable every single day until that day arrives. Deadlines separate dreamers from doers, talkers from grinders, wishers from winners. Ask yourself, do you want to be exposed, or do you want to dominate? This is where it gets even more intense. Let me tell you something real. Nothing extraordinary ever came from casual effort. Nothing legendary was ever birthed from, maybe I'll try tomorrow. Deadlines create obsession. In addition, obsession is what separates the ordinary from the unstoppable. When you put a date on your dream, your mind stops thinking in options and starts thinking in results. You wake up at 5 a.m. while the world sleeps. You stay late when everyone else is watching Netflix. You eat, sleep, and breathe your dream because the deadline does not wait for you. It is coming whether you are ready or not. Some of you are scared of being obsessed because it sounds extreme. However, let me ask you, is mediocrity worth more to you than greatness? Because obsession is the price of leaving a mark, of dominating your field, of proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Deadlines force you into action, thinking bigger, into pushing past fatigue, doubt, and fear. They make you uncomfortable. They make you hungry. Moreover, that hunger, that is the fuel for your breakthrough. Stop playing small. Stop waiting for inspiration. Stop being a spectator in your own life. Set the deadline, obsess, chase, dominate. Because when obsession meets deadline, success becomes inevitable. I am going to be real with you. Most people fail not because they aren't smart, not because they lack talent, but because they are comfortable being stuck. Complacency is a slow death, and it feels safe until you realize your dream has passed you by. Deadlines crush complacency. They force you to move. They demand that you rise, fight, and produce whether you feel like it or not. When you set a date for your dream, the world no longer whispers to you. It yells, now do it, now act, now or never. Moreover, now you rise to the occasion, or you watch life happen to someone else. There is no middle ground. There is no excuse. Complacency is not an option. Deadlines expose weakness and force strength. They reveal the gap between what you say you want and what you are actually willing to do. They are the mirror that shows if your dream is real or just a fantasy. In addition, if you are serious about leaving your mark, being average is unacceptable. So stop making excuses. Stop playing small. Stop waiting for comfort. Deadlines do not negotiate. They do not forgive, and they do not care about your feelings. They demand action. In addition, action creates results. Ask yourself right now, will you rise or will you stay stuck? Listen to me. Dreams without deadlines are invisible. They float in your head like clouds, pretty to look at but useless when it comes to reality. Deadlines turn those clouds into storms. Deadlines turn your ideas into action. Deadlines turn your dreaming into undeniable results. The truth is, simple life will never hand you your dream on a silver platter. It does not care how much you believe in, how much you hope, or how long you have been waiting. The only thing that matters is what you do with the time you have. Moreover, the clock is ticking. Every second that passes without commitment is a second lost forever. When you set a deadline, you are saying to the universe, I am serious. I will not stop. I will not wait. I will not quit. In addition, that commitment, that urgency, that fire, it forces the world to bend to your will. People will doubt you, Obstacles will rise and then fear will scream at you. But deadlines create warriors. Deadlines create champions. Deadlines create legends. Now is the time to stop procrastinating. Stop talking. Stop dreaming without doing. Set the date. Mark it down. Obsess, grind. Fight. Deliver. Because if you do not, your dream dies and it's nobody's fault but yours. Your destiny is waiting. The question is, will you meet it or will you let it pass? This is it. Listen carefully, because this is the truth that will change everything. Your dream is not going to chase you. Your dream is not going to wait for you to feel ready. Your dream is counting on one thing: you showing up fully committed with a deadline and no excuses. When you put a date on your dream, you take ownership. You stop blaming, stop hoping, and stop wishing. You become the master of your destiny. You stop drifting through life and start leading it. You stop watching others win while you sit on the sidelines. You step into your greatness, and nothing, not fear, not doubt, not failure can stop you. I want you to feel this right now: the power, the responsibility, the urgency. Let it hit your core, because when you do, there is no turning back. Either you are in or you are out. You are either committed or you are just dreaming. But if you choose to commit, if you choose to set the date, if you choose to chase it like your life depends on it, it does, then nothing, absolutely nothing, can keep you from achieving it. Therefore, here's my challenge to you. Set your deadline today. Mark it, obsess over it, live it, breathe it, chase it, dominate it. In addition, when that day comes, when you cross that finish line, then you will look back and say, I did not just dream, I delivered. I did not just wish, I conquered. I did not just survive, I thrived. The clock is ticking. The question is, will you rise or will you regret?